ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So, I had a very stressful day yesterday, and I thought I was over it. But 7:30 this morning, I got a text message.
Yes.
From two of my family members.
Yes.
My son and his...
Whose specifics will go unnamed.
Let's just say they're in college. and they ever so gently say, "What do you know about cruises?"
You're thinking of going into the cruise industry? Is that a new major?
Oh, are you thinking of getting me a cruise for my birthday?
You're so sweet, kids.
Oh, you're so thoughtful. No, of course not. It turns out they want to go on a cruise for spring break. Since when do college students go on cruises for spring break? I mean, the outlandishness of it. No, I'm like, excuse me? And she said, well, it's very cheap. And I said, oh, no, it's not cheap. That's the myth of cruising.
Yes.
There's all these extras that are added on top of it. And by the time you're done paying for it, you could have paid for a year of schooling. So what are you doing? So, Mom. I bit my tongue, and I need to plan my strategy for, really giving them my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Are there many difficult and demeaning chores you can have them do to work their way towards this item?
No, nothing. I think it's just more we've been working so hard, and it's going to be a long time before we get to have a vacation together again, because they're graduating in the spring, and one's going off to San Francisco to work, and the other one's going to be finding a full-time job. And, poor Petals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is this like a weekend cruise, or is this a week-long cruise? How major a cruise are we talking about? Is this like to Catalina?
Like probably down to Baja, somewhere down around there. But a couple nights at least. So, but I'm just like, a cruise? Are you kidding me? Really? What happened to camping at Yosemite? Or I don't know.
You want real togetherness.
Yeah.
Get a tent.
I mean, you want to start off your life with a cruise? That's high expectations.
That's right.
That seems to be leaping things there. I'm trying to work up the required old lady dudgeon over some things and ignore the fact that I went to Europe when I was in college.
Yeah,
and,
Terri, I don't know if you can.
We backpacked, and I think that I may have paid for some of it myself, although, certainly my parents were paying for my college, so who am I kidding? But at one point, at the end of the trip, we were so tired and so annoyed by things that had gone wrong that we booked ourselves into this really posh hotel in London, and I put it on my American Express card that my parents had given me for emergencies. So
oh my word.
That probably cost more than the rest of the trip all put together, and they had to pay for it. But,
whoa.
Oh, well. But a cruise just sounds...
It just sounds...
indulgent.
Yes. And the other myth is that they're paying for it, but the reality is at least I'm paying for my son's portion, because he can have this money to go on the cruise because we pay for everything else in his life.
And also, if they're going to be apart next year, aren't they going to need money to visit each other?
Oh,
right.
Well, we think about those things, but apparently young adults don't.
They will worry about that when the time comes.
Yes,
and come to you with big eyes asking for money to get together.
So catch me in
Would it deter them at all if you said you'd be happy to go with them?
Yeah, there you go.
What a wonderful idea. Let's have a family cruise.
Go. We'll take your sister.
We'll join. Oh, yes, we'll bring your sister. We'll all join you.
Yes, what fun.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with you too.
This will be the last
I
time
think
we
this
can
is the
vacation as
strategy,
a family.
Nicole. Just call back and be like, "Yep, it's a great idea. We're
great
all
idea."
gonna go."
You know, you just made me think about it, and it's like, I
Right.
really want to go too.
You convinced me. You talked me into it.
Oh gosh.
Of course, we can't have you two kids sharing a stateroom,
Oh,
so
no.
she can room with your sister.
It'll
be fun.
You know darn well that they're not going to get the room that's like the inside cabin on the first floor.
They have to make it special, Nicole.
Oh my god!
It's their last time freeloading off of parents.
Yeah, exactly.
The time is running out.
That's what it is. Oh, catch me in a dark room with a washcloth, ladies.
I think you need to be in a dark stateroom with a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
I think
There you go.
That's the
There
answer.
we go. Yes. Well, I'm going to refocus my frustrated energy and introduce this podcast, which is always a form of
idea.
therapy for me. So thank you for listening. So hello, everyone. And welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Nicole Erdix, and with me today are Catherine Haleko
Hello.
and Terri Morrow.
Hello.
And today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about school lockers on our speed round, shout out some stuff we like on our Roundabout Roundup, and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, is it even possible to change course while parenting?
Or like a cruise ship, would it take a whole week to change the direction that you think you're going?
Oh, yes.
Cannot be turned around.
Path
Yes.
destruction.
This is, we often talk about how there is no one universal truth in parenting, and often things that work with one kid don't work for another kid, and things you read about in parenting articles, not ones written by us, but in general, things you read about in parenting articles are often, completely wrong. So this gets us to the thing of, if you start something with great dedication and determination, and you realize at some point that it is a bad idea, how do you change course as a parent? Do you just tell the kids, hey, those rules I made? We're going to use different rules now. And if so, do you then lose any credibility? Is there any way to write your course? Is there any way to make a change? Or do you just look consistent and wishy-washy, and your kids now know they don't have to ever listen to anything you say because you will change your mind later? How have you guys managed that? Have you made a parenting course correction? Or, unlike me, do you guys always know what you're doing and do it right and never have to reconsider a thing? Catherine, what's your story on this?
My story is, I feel like I'm in need of such a course correction right now, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm afraid to try.
Yeah. It's not pretty.
Yeah, it's really hard, because I think it's so easy for things to change, for new habits to form that you don't like, and then what, it's way easier to, these things happen slowly and incrementally, and then suddenly you're like,
Yes.
oh, wait a minute, all of a sudden I notice that we're not eating dinner anymore, or we're not packing lunches anymore, or whatever it is that, and I don't know, I feel stuck, in trying to make changes, especially when it's something, you start out all gung-ho on, and then...
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeesh.
We should just always sneak things in without making any big announcement. Yeah, that's where we mess ourselves up.
Right. I mean, I think on the one hand, things always change, right? Whether it's for better or for worse. So sometimes I kind of think, well, if I just wait long enough, whatever this is that is not going the way I want it to will probably just change. So,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's some patterns that feel so ingrained that I'm not quite sure what to do. So,
do your kids ever call you on it? Like, why have you changed? Why are you doing this differently? I thought you said we were going to do this thing.
No, because they like the way it is, like we've drifted.
So it's just you feeling like you've gone back on your principles.
And it's usually, I feel like I don't have any other adult backup, if you know what I mean. So
well,
then
that's a problem too.
really hard to make a change, because sometimes because I feel like it's 3 against 1, like this method is working great for everyone else. It's just not working for me. So there's very little incentive for anyone else to change, to make a change.
Oh, well, that stinks.
So
do you talk to the unsupportive parent, supportive half of your parenting duo about it and try to rally, or do you just?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done both. I've thrown in the towel for sure, but sometimes I've also tried to make changes, and sometimes that works, but not always.
Yeah, I can't think of anything I've ever done where I say this is not working and I have to change and I have to do something else and we have to turn the ship around and I have to explain to people why we're now going to do something different.
Yeah.
But boy, during the course of my kids growing up, did I have bunches and bunches of great, wonderful strategies that I introduced with great fanfare and then allowed to peter out.
Yeah.
Until the next big strategy came. And the thing is, a lot of the times they worked. But they worked because I put a lot of effort into it. And then if something happened and I wasn't putting a lot of effort in it, it just faded away. And nobody, like you say, nobody protests when it fades away. They're happy when it's working. That's fine. Nobody was upset, but nobody wants, I'm the one who's invested in it.
Right.
I remember there was a time when I had a chart on our closet door by our kitchen that had points for, it was like the good place. There was a point value for everything that you did that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we would count up points and I would give them rewards and it was great, but boy, was it labor intensive for Mom.
Yeah, that's a lot of work for you.
And then after a while, you don't do it for a few days and then there's 3 days worth of stuff to count up. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon it's just a list on the closet mocking me. Yeah. And pretty soon I take it down and throw it away very quickly. And then another idea comes to me. This is going to be it. This is it, everybody. And I think at some point they were all just going, yeah, Mom, everybody start your watches.
Right.
How long is this one going to last? And I hate it.
Yeah.
And I wished I had followed through. And it was worth following through. I mean, sometimes the kids aged out of it, but other times it was just, I ran out of steam. I ran out of steam a lot. I have a limited supply of steam.
That's how I feel for sure. I've always said that I don't do school lunches. That is not my thing. And I refuse. And so, my husband will go through phases of, wanting to help the kids pack their lunch or wanting to make sure that they pack a lunch. But, the minute he relaxes a little bit, well, they're just going to buy lunch because that's a heck of a lot easier. So stuff like that, it's if it requires too much effort on the parents' part and the kids don't care, then what are you going to do?
We put a lot on ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
I think we're told to by parenting writers, not us, but that this is your job to organize all this stuff, and then when you run out, it's your fault. When when you let go of it, then you blame yourself. But you got other things to do, man.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like I kept everybody alive all day. This was a useful thing.
Right.
Everything else is just gravy. But how about you, Nicole? Tell us how it's done. How have you managed this? Let us learn from your ways.
Yeah, because they're obviously working. If you heard the intro to this,
you offer kids a cruise if they do well. I got it.
I was actually just thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking, my parenting style typically has been not like overly permissive, but fairly like,
laissez-faire.
I don't know what laissez-faire, but like, not as strict as how I was brought up, right? Like,
Yes.
not my automatic response to every question isn't no. No,
Right.
you can't. No, you can't. But then I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, maybe it would have been just easier to just blanket no everything.
Yeah. I think this is a secret that our parents knew, that we thought we were smarter than them, and maybe not.
I know, like, it just would make life a little easier sometimes, because when you say yes, then you start to get into all sorts of yes, but what if, or yes, but how, or there's all these like kind of derivatives and side effects of saying yes. So, and it's too late to backtrack, of course.
Right.
And
that wouldn't be fair.
And I kind of wish in a way that maybe I had been a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more, I don't even know how to say it. Just not as open to everything.
Okay, a little less flexible.
Yes, a little less flexible. There
you go.
Yeah, that probably would have been maybe a little bit more beneficial. But then I don't know. My kids, their personalities. I mean, they would have rebelled anyway. So that would have caused me. Would that have caused me greater heartache? I'm not sure.
Kids gonna rebel.
Yeah. Yeah, and my son, he would have done it probably without me knowing at the time, but I would have found out later. And my daughter, she would just do it straight up. And so,
was that the case of yourself with your parents, Nicole? Did you just do stuff even if they said no?
I would do it. But
do you want to plead the fifth right now?
I wouldn't. I would do it so that they wouldn't find out, or at least try to do it so they wouldn't find out.
Your mom doesn't listen to this podcast, right?
Oh, God, no. She didn't even know how to find it online. So, yeah, no.
Yeah. I didn't get a lot of no's when I was growing up. I was pretty spoiled.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I think I've been pretty flexible and enabling with my kids. And, with the disability on top of it, sometimes it makes things more difficult.
Right.
There's often the thing that my child has misbehaved in an entirely age-appropriate way. Yes! Now, don't ever do that again.
But high five quickly.
Yeah.
Complicates things. Exactly. Let me congratulate you, honey, before I figure out your punishment. But that was excellent. So, yeah, but I, definitely have been inconsistent with things. And I'm surprised not to be called on it by my husband, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because I think things just slip, and then you don't see it starting. You don't see like, gosh, we haven't sat down at the table together in X days, until it's been X times a lot of days. So.
Yeah.
I find that hard.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you have to, have you ever then just said, okay, you know what? I know I said we were going to sit down at the table and then we fell out of it. We're going to start doing it again. And do they just laugh at you, or do you find a way to enforce that?
Sometimes it works. Like, I think if it's tied to an event, like, okay, school's out, it's summer, and these are going to be the summertime rules, or, school's starting again, and we need to make sure we have, homework time, or whatever it is, like...
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, you almost need some sort of external event to tie it to, I think, in order for it to have any hope of getting anywhere. Oh, boy.
Oh, that stuff is hard. And, sometimes there are rules that you want to lay down for one kid, but that aren't a preference for another kid.
Yeah.
then that's bad.
Right.
That's difficult. I hear about that a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not developmentally appropriate for the other one, or age appropriate, or just this kid doesn't have a problem with this thing and you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it more difficult. That adds an extra degree of complication.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because it's much easier then to just let that stuff slide so that you don't have to have that fight over again. Oh dear. Do your spouses have things that they've let drop in this way and then you either mock them or are secretly happy?
Well, mine would be the lunch packing, that was supposed to be.
But that was always your rule. He didn't care about that personally, right?
Yeah, that was something that I made him agree to before he understood what he was getting into.
Yeah.
And, he was fine about it for quite a while. But again, that's the kind of thing where if the kids fight it, if they're like, we don't have any food, I don't like any of this, then it's easy to just be like, well, fine, just buy So, yeah.
Yeah. Do your spouses have anything that they care about that they wish the kids would do that you maybe don't share the same goal? I've got a few of those with my husband, and it's like...
Yeah, when my...
enable them.
When my son was younger, my husband was really so annoyed with bad table manners. And, that's a dad thing. I would just be like, whatever, we're all sitting here, there's food in front of us, and he would be like, use your fork, he would just upset him so much, and I probably could have backed him up better than I did on those occasions.
Yeah, when those things fall by the wayside, it doesn't bother you quite so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a triage situation.
Right. Oh, dear.
Well, my husband is notorious for springing sort of new expectations on the kids. Without even talking to me. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You're not even going to follow through with that. That's not even going to work.
and then you're the one that's going to have to follow through, or he'll be mad at you, right?
I'm like, that. You're making that my job.
And then if it falls through and nobody follows through, and then it weakens you as a parenting unit,
Right.
That counts against you,
right.
Even though it was not your stupid idea.
Right. And they're the most ridiculous things. I'm like, you can't just spring that on her,
Yes.
and expect that to change right now. I'm like, did it work for you? No. You think it's going to work for your daughter? I don't think so. Yeah, that frustrates me so much. I'm like,
that is hard.
No. Just think about what you're saying, please. Think about what comes out of your mouth.
You need to have a weekly meeting. Okay, what rules are we going to set this week? Please run them through the chain of command.
They may only be enforced if they are if they have prior agreement.
I would like to see your paperwork for that, sir. Please show your permit.
Your proposal. No, I want a proposal.
Is it stamped by the proper authorities? I'm sorry. Kids, ignore that.
Just forget that. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, channels, man. Channels.
Yeah.
Chain of command.
For our speed round, I think we are going to talk about something that at school has fallen out of favor.
Apparently.
And schools in some cases are trying to change course. So there you go.
There you go.
And
we know how gracefully that happens.
Yeah. So the question is for the speed round is, does your kid or did your kid use a locker in school? And there's an article in the Washington Post about this that we will link to, because they use the headline, "Schools and Lockers No Longer the Right Combination." What?
Okay.
Some headline writer was so proud of him or herself.
So I know for my kids, they rarely, if ever, use their lockers. And, you know, we live in a climate where they need winter coat, like, and they just carry them around. I mean, I can see in my daughter's school, it's an enormous building. And I can see how it would be annoying to, and then she just wouldn't always have time to go back to her locker.
Right.
Because if it's at one end of the building and her classes are at the other end, she'd never make it. But my son his classes are a little more concentrated. But yet, you know, I'm pretty sure he just hauls around his backpack all day too. So in this article, they talk a little bit about how schools are sort of trying new things, like either just giving up the lockers or having like open shelving that's just sort of free for all, so that anybody can use, you know, depending on where you need to be during the day, or more temporary lockers like you'd find at, you know, a bus station or something, where you can just use it when it's convenient and when it's close to where you are.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that one makes a little more sense. Or having lockers that have charging stations, and that could be an incentive.
That would get the kids there.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, then they would have to give up their device for one whole class period, but...
Oh, that seems unlikely. They would just be standing out the right. All the kids would be standing out in the hallway during class.
During their passing time, they would just stay at their locker till the last possible second. Dear. So, I don't know. Nicole, does your daughter's school even have lockers?
Well, apparently they did way back in the day, like, you know, a million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't in recent years, and it's awful. Like the books that my daughter carries around, because they still are not even like they haven't only half the teachers use the digital textbooks. And so I mean, I just look at her backpack and it's punishing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I look at, you know, especially the kids who are doing the heavy end English courses and math courses and history courses. Those books are huge. And
yeah.
I mean, and then so where does she skimp on her lunch? She doesn't want, you know, a big lunch because she is trying to make room in her backpack. So I understand, like, the campuses are a lot bigger and are becoming bigger, and so it's hard to get from one end to the other. However, I just think, you know, I look at those kids and I feel so bad for them. I mean, they have back problems and shoulder problems for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would be nice if they could combine the scaling back of lockers with more digital textbooks.
Yeah.
I mean, really, all kids should need is like a tablet. You know, you can have all your books on there. You can write all your stuff on there. And then you have no problem. Right. Except you need charging.
Right.
Charging stations in desks would be the thing.
Right. I mean, both of my kids have Chromebooks that they are expected to charge every night and bring to school every day.
Really?
How's that going?
It's pretty good. I mean, that's one of those things where with my daughter, you know, she's responsible. She will charge hers. Right. My son, sometimes I have to remind him, like, if he's going to bed, is there something you didn't do? You know? But yet somehow he still has like 3-ring binders and all these papers, and what kills me is when he comes home from school with his bulging heavy backpack and then says he doesn't have any homework. I'm like, well, why is all this stuff here? Like, just leave it at school if you don't need it. So, but then you can't ever use the excuse of like, oh, I left that at school. Like, no, you didn't. It's in that backpack.
Every possible thing you could have is in that backpack. Oh, complicated.
Yeah.
It just seems a little sad when I see her leave in this great big backpack on her back. Just to cart it around all day. And then, I mean, I know that some of the teachers are pretty good with letting the kids leave some stuff in the classrooms, like through the day. I mean, especially like with their sports equipment, because they don't even have proper change rooms at my daughter's school, and so the teachers are pretty good in that sense, so the kids can leave stuff behind. But I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, when my daughter played tennis, they had like a room where they would drop their stuff in the morning, and be able to keep it there until after school. So,
but then they had to go to a bathroom and change, like not even a.
Oh,
yeah, they had to change in the bathroom.
That seems silly.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know.
Well, how about you, Terry? Did your kids use them when they were?
Yeah, well, pretty much the same as you're saying. You know, the campuses, both their middle school and high school campuses are pretty spread out, and also very, very, very crowded.
Yes.
So you can't have everybody going to their locker at the same time. There had to be spaced out. You could only go to your locker during certain periods. Oh. So even if you could get there, you couldn't go. You wouldn't be allowed in the halls. Mm-hmm. So, and also, I think, at least in one of their schools, they wouldn't let the kids carry their backpacks either because it was a space issue. Yeah. I mean, at the high school, this main hallway is called the mosh pit because they are, kids are jammed in there when periods are changing. Right. If you have that extra thing hanging off your back, you're going to knock somebody down with it. I tried to get up that hallway sometime to go to a meeting when it was full of kids, and I mean, you could crowd surf maybe. It's the only way to get through. So it was always an issue. I think my son got a dispensation on the backpack in his IEP, so he could carry his backpack. But he also could go in hallways when he wasn't supposed to be. That was also an accommodation, and he had an aide and all that. Right. So I remember, I think in middle school, whether my daughter couldn't get to her locker or she didn't like to go to her locker, we got her an item that I called the Super Monster Mega Binder. That was just, you could put everything in this binder. It was, you could have all your subjects. You could stick a couple of textbooks in it. Wow. And it zipped around and it had a handle on it, but it was a binder, so it was okay. So that was a solution at one point, so she didn't have to go back and do things. Right. But, I can see that it's a problem. Yeah. That the idea of the airport style or ones where you put your stuff in and you take the key, I think that's a good way to think of doing it, because then you could just put your stuff near where you are and you wouldn't have to have the stuff in the classroom, but you wouldn't have to go a long distance. Except that I bet kids are just losing those keys. Oh, they lose the keys.
Yeah, it would have to be like a punch code or, swipe your ID or whatever.
Yeah. Or, yeah, so that's going to be the problem
and
there.
And then it's a fight over, like, who gets the prime lockers at the prime time.
Yeah, there's no good way. I really think that the solution is just to scale down the need.
Yeah, the paperless solution, right?
Yeah, paperless, that makes sense. Other than that, just keep the textbooks in the classroom and, find some way to send stuff home that doesn't require that.
Well, in elementary school, I guess they need the textbooks for homework, but, we always just kept our textbooks in the classroom and gave the kids handouts. But I guess that's paper reduction. But you could do it online these days.
Do it online.
A lot of my son's stuff is online. Well, both kids.
There would be rules against making copies of the textbook to send home, but probably you could textbook publishers could make material available online.
Right.
And because then you don't have the problem at all, and you don't have the kids. Then you just have to worry about the girls' purses, which are always going to be a thing and huge. But do girls still carry huge purses, or
no?
Are they scaled down now? No. That everything is on your phone.
Mine has a backpack, and then she has like one of those lanyards. Where it's like it goes around your neck. It's like Vera Bradley, it has to be. And it has your ID, and you can put a little money, a little gift cards, whatever, that kind of thing. So,
yeah, you can get away with that if you have a backpack. But is there stuff in the backpack that's of a personal nature that she would have to
but she's
transition into a purse?
That around. She just carries the backpack.
Yeah.
She just carries a little. I think my daughter has a wallet because she's got her driver's license. So it's just a tiny little thing, and everything else is on her lanyard. But the purses, no, they don't. I don't see any of them because they're all carrying these big backpacks.
Yeah, the backpack.
Jeez, in my day, we just carried the books in a big stack with us everywhere. And then you would have your huge purse over your shoulder. You would have your lunch kind of in the other arm. And then you would be carrying your stack of textbooks and notebooks. And, we all survived. Our arms got a little longer by the end of the year, but...
And one shoulder was higher than the other.
And one shoulder was perpetually stooped. But,
and it's funny, the lanyard thing that you brought up, Catherine, because,
yeah.
That is a real thing. I didn't know that's... How did that even happen?
Yeah, it's all new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was at the point where wasn't it like right around 9/11 where they decided it was a good idea for everybody to be badged?
Yeah.
So I know when my kids started school, teachers didn't have the lanyards, and so the students certainly didn't have the lanyards.
That's right.
I think it was sometime after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then the teachers had to start wearing badges. Then it was like, well, how do we know all these students are supposed to be here?
Actually, I used to wear a lanyard with my classroom keys on it. So maybe, I don't know, transition from the professional world to down to the kids. But see, my kids, there isn't a prerequisite name brand that has to.
No, it doesn't have to be Vera Bradley.
No, it can. We're still at the stage where it can be anything. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
I think of Vera Bradley as like an old lady thing. That's the thing for the teens, is to have a Vera Bradley.
Yeah.
They've rebranded themselves. Good for them.
It's pretty popular among my daughter and her friends.
Really?
Interesting.
They have lunch bags. They have lanyards.
Oh, yeah. They got a million things, but I didn't realize they had made the leap.
In fact, when I was on the bus with my daughter's team last week, I was looking up in the overhead bins on the bus and just thinking, I wonder how many Vera Bradley and 31 bags are on this bus, because
should have taken a picture.
Every single one. It's one or the other, so...
Okay, you know what, Terri? I'm actually looking at their website right now, and they have rebranded it because there's 2 young women on the main page. That's
funny.
what?
I got a Vera Bradley purse. I'm going to wear it and feel all
the
hot and happening.
Terri. Trust.
I was feeling like, boy, this is branding me as an old lady, but now I know I am with the teens.
Yeah.
I am.
Wow. I mean, it's not even a thing down here yet. Huh.
Really?
Well, or maybe it's come and gone from there. I wouldn't be surprised.
Usually go east. Interesting.
Well, well, that's now that we've wandered from lockers to Vera Bradley.
Vera Bradley needs to address the locker situation.
They need to come up with
something with a nice paisley. Then the kids want to go. I have the Vera Bradley locker, so I'll be going and putting my things there.
Well, that'll be it for that speed round, and you can hear a new one every Wednesday through Friday. Nicole, you're up.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was just looking on the Vera Bradley website wondering maybe I should get a purse. So now we bring you some of the things that we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. Catherine, what do you have for us today?
So I have a friend who wrote a piece for Glamour, and it's a tough topic, but it's something I was sort of thinking about, and then she wrote it and she posted it, and it's called "I'm Worried, but I'm Still Letting My Daughter Be a Gymnast." And it's all about how her daughter has been involved in gymnastics for several years. I think she's about 11 years old. And, with everything that's gone on with the doctor and the response by USA Gymnastics and, the particular issue that they're facing. And I've been thinking about that. Like, what are parents doing that have little girls that love this sport? And so she took that on and wrote an essay about it for glamour.com. So I recommend it. I mean, it's tough to read, but it's also, it's just something that I've been wondering how parents are dealing with. So.
Yeah.
Right. Huh. Well, thank you. Terri, what about you? What do you have this week?
Yeah, mine's not a specific item so much as just a new appreciation for an existing service. I've had a lot of, reservations about Twitter lately. It's gotten to be a less pleasant and fun place than it used to be. But one thing that I find it still kind of rocks for is getting quick customer service. Does not always work, but quite often, if I'm unhappy about something and I post and I tag the name of the company, I get a little request for a direct message really quick. It happened recently when I had UPS lost a package. It was supposed to be a 2-day delivery. It got all the way across the country and to a town near me, and then it got lost and was missing for like an entire day. So I vented my frustration, and I got myself a $25 gift card for it.
Wow.
So I did not get my pack. I really would have rather had my package and not had the $25. And I feel like there were things they could have done to get it to me. But still, better than nothing, and better than I could get from like looking around the UPS website for a contact. So, and I had something, a package from Macy's that went astray in our post office, I think. And I complained to Macy's on Twitter, and it came the next day. I don't know if they called our post office and said, find this or what.
Wow.
It doesn't always work. And sometimes I've had DM conversations that wound up not actually resolving my problem. But my advice to you, if you're unhappy with a particular product and they're on Twitter, try complaining and tagging them in it. Possibly you will get some sort of resolution, whether it's exactly what you want or not. At least you will feel somebody is paying attention to you. This is good.
Right.
I had a company that was sending me email obviously meant for another person. I complained on Twitter, and I never heard about it again. So, they apologized and then took care of it. So that's one thing that I think Twitter is still pretty great for.
Yeah.
And doesn't get enough recognition for that small, tiny thing service that it offers. Give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, and I want to shout out an Instagram, feed that I came across recently, which is so adorable. And since Terri, you are new to Instagram,
yes, that's my next. See me in shameless self-promotion later.
Yeah. This might be a site you want to, not a site.
A good follow?
A good follow, yeah. And it's the cutest thing ever. Okay,
I'm taking my phone right now while you talk.
They are called the Kangaroo Sanctuary. And it's based out of Alice Springs in Australia. And they rescue and raise orphan baby kangaroos. And it has the most adorable footage and photos of these little baby kangaroos. Can you see them? Are you on there right now?
I'm looking at it right now. I'm following them right now.
I know.
The little kangaroos.
Yes. And
Look at their big faces.
This is an interesting data point, is that they are the ones, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a viral photo of this really big, strong, muscular kangaroo that goes around the internet.
Okay.
Like it's kind of a scary looking, like tricked out kangaroo.
Macho-roo.
Yeah. And so that's where this kangaroo lives. That's where this kangaroo is from, is this place.
Wow. And there's little videos.
Oh, it's the most adorable thing. And they climb in these little bags.
There's 2 of them.
And then they take them for car rides. It's the cutest thing.
Oh, you guys.
See, Terri, this is why you have to be on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can also follow the Australian alpaca named Chewy at Chupaca.
Oh, Chupaca?
Well, I'm going to do that right now.
Me too.
You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, so I just started following him this morning.
Chewy the alpaca.
And I've had so much fun going through all their pages.
Very nice. I hadn't thought. I followed the dog shaming, and then we rate dogs, but that's as far into the animal kingdom as I had gone.
Yeah. Isn't it just adorable, though? Like, seriously.
It is adorable. I gotta say, the kangaroo's a little cuter than the alpaca, but no offense, Chewy. The kangaroos are pretty damn adorable.
They are. Yeah. So, Terri, on to you.
Okay.
If you can pull yourself away from the kangaroos.
It's hard, Nicole.
I know,
They're cute.
aren't they?
I'm not going to get any work done, and I'm going to blame it on you.
I'm
sorry, I've missed my deadline, but Nicole started me looking at kangaroos. I cannot look away. Well, and now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. As previously mentioned, I have been peer pressured now to go onto Instagram because I understand that is where it's happening, where it's at, and not Facebook. So I am at Terri.Morrow on Instagram because somebody took my tag of Momitude that I use everywhere else. But that's okay.
No.
You can find me at my whole name with a dot in the middle. And belatedly realized after I had joined it that I will be expected to post pictures. That's all you can do on there is post pictures. I am not a big picture person. So it's a little bit, I really just wanted to join it so I could follow TV show accounts and whenever they talk about Instagram stories, I'll be able to go see what they're talking about. And now, of course, for kangaroos. But I came upon an idea that I'm going to try that is, I'm going to do a deskivation. I have desk drawers that are full of junk. You know, we cleaned off this desk.
Yes, I remember when you did that.
Last year, we did the deskivation of the top. But there are a couple of drawers that were not touched because I don't have to worry about that now. They're just drawers. It's okay. I'm not going to see them. But oh my goodness, there is stuff in there that has not seen light in possibly decades. So I'm going to start with this one little desk drawer. I have enough drawers in my house of this nature that I could easily go for 800 years. So every day I'm going to take a picture of something in the drawer and I will invite my followers to tell me whether to keep it, toss it, donate it, or give it to them. So if you are in the market for old junk, follow me on Instagram at Terri.Morrow. If not, possibly this will drive everybody away, and then I will have no pressure to post anything. So win-win for me. Nicole, what are you self-promoting today?
Well, I'm
going back to the kangaroos while you talk.
I know. I actually wrote something for myself and my site last week, which is like the first time in ages.
Bold
you can believe
thing.
that. So I wrote a little piece called 10 Things You Can Do to Make Your Class Socially Inclusive. So not just academically, but some things that teachers can do to make all kids feel socially included in the class. So, yeah. So that's on my website at theinclusiveclass.com.
Okay. And Catherine, what are you
Well, I
touting
don't have
today?
a new piece to mention, so I thought I would just mention my kind of online portfolio that I keep at Pinterest.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I at some point decided to just start collecting all my links for my writing there. So you can go, I'll put the link in the show notes for my page that does that. So I'm not at all like a power user of Pinterest in any way, but I do like it for recipes and I like it for this.
Nice. That is a good idea. I'm going to go look at that and possibly steal it.
Sure. Go for it.
I'm just going to steal your credits too because you got more than me. So I'm just going to import some of them
just
over.
Pretend that this is also
not just the format.
I think that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so that you'll get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am sporadically, at C. Haleko. Nicole is at Nicole Eridix, and Terri is at Momitude, talking with customer service providers.
That is correct.
But you can follow the podcast on Twitter. That's at Roundabout Chat, and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on everything we've mentioned, and talk back to us in the comments. Thanks to John Morin at johnjmorin.com for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.